Shout out to my new and old school subscribers, my TikTok family. Y'all the best to ever do it. With no further ado, let's get right into it.
Do whatever they would normally do and just want somebody there when it's convenient for them, or, you know, for the things they want to do. Like, convince me I'm wrong.
In this day and age, you go out, you take a woman out, you do all these gentlemanly things, and then she ghosts you, disappears. It's a big joke. And I always tell guys, do these things, but do it for women who are going to appreciate it. Don't go out on a first date and be at the 5-star restaurant and all the fancy stuff. No, you don't do that on a first date with a woman. And if she needs you to bring the fancy on the first date, she doesn't like you.
Exactly. Trying to impress these women is a waste of time, energy, and money. If you try to impress her, someone else will try to step it up and try to impress her with something else. That's why the best thing you can be is yourself. The fancy dates are for the woman that you deem worthy of being with you. The woman that's there to uplift you and wants to grow together. That's the kind of woman you give that treatment to, not every woman you meet.
What happened to men not being afraid to come and talk to you in person? Like, I feel like I run into men all the time who will, like, say something to their homeboy or, like, say something, a compliment loud enough for me to hear, not directly speaking to me, but just so I can hear it so I can say thank you. And that's, like, their way of knowing if they can come and talk to me or not. And I remember when I was younger, like...
Where do they get this stuff from? Like where, why does she think that... Okay. Why does she think that's a thing? She just said, guys say something to the homeboy loud enough for me to hear it. What does that mean? What does that mean? How does she not know this? It's not all in her head. Listen, some people are experiencing psychosis, and this is where that main character energy type of stuff goes down the wrong route, right? She thinks the world revolves around her in a way to where people around her who are not really showing interest. So she's ear hustling, aka eavesdropping, to where she's trying to hear what other people have to say, and then she thinks she overhears this, and off that assumption, she just puts together this whole scenario. It's insane. It really is.
I could be in a group of 20 girls and the guy would not care. He would come part the Red Sea and come and get my number. Like, what happened to that? Where did that get lost? Did it get lost because of these dating apps? Like, I've never been on a dating app and I will never be on one just because I just don't feel like my man is on there. I feel like my man is going to see me in person. He's not going to be afraid. He's going to come and talk to me. Right? So, like, am I doing something wrong? Or, like, is that over with? Are they just expecting us to come and talk to them? Like, are y'all going to approach them? Because hell would freeze over before I ever.
What happened to men pursuing girls?
Okay, like, so let it freeze over. Won't you just go and wait on guys to approach you? What's the problem? There's a lot of guys still approaching women, and there's a lot of guys that are in these women's DMs. The problem is the ones they want, like us, we're not approaching them. So, too bad, so sad. Not really.
When was the pivotal moment that a man chose to not go after a girl anymore or put in any effort? It seems like guys can just put the bare minimum and not even really put in effort anymore. They don't really care to. Or they're like, why don't girls just go and make the first move and make the effort? When did it become a thing? Now it's like role reversal where they expect girls to be making the first moves, yearning for a guy and chasing him. That is, I feel like, the downfall of why it's so hard to meet someone, because men don't put in effort anymore, don't care to put in effort. And a relationship won't work unless the guy likes the girl just a tiny little bit more. He has to like her just the tiniest bit more.
I mean, you guys, it sounds to me like they're trying to convince you, you know, what you should be wanting. And it's reverse psychology, man. Like, they're having to tell you the way you're supposed to be as a man, even though you're presenting yourself as the man that you want to be, and they're not trying to hear it. You know, they want you to approach. They still want da-da-da-da-da. This is what you ladies have set up. When you complain about guys approaching, this is what happens. So suck it up, buttercup.
For it to work in the long haul. So it would make sense if a guy really wanted to get to know you, that he would go leaps and bounds to get to know you. And when did that shift? Because back in my mom's era, if a guy wanted to take you out on a date, he had to go up to you, he had to get your number.
And back in her mom's era, they used to have shame. So if they had more than a couple of bodies, they took it to their grave. Back in her mom's era, you could probably get yourself one or two. That hasn't been passed around. These women want traditional men, but they're modern women. It's ridiculous.
He had to go through lengths to try to talk to you, even if you weren't interested at first. How my parents met? They met at a bar, and my dad asked for my mom to dance, and my mom was like, "Get out of here." She wanted nothing to do with him. If he had just left and listened to her, they would have never gotten married. They would have never had kids. But he was persistent. He wanted to take her out on a date so badly. He was like, "What do I have to do to take you out on a date?" She was working late their first date. So he went to her work, picked her up, prepped a dinner, took her to a park, just planned the whole thing. He wrote her poetry. He was yearning. How my aunt and my uncle met. My aunt was a dancer on a cruise ship, and he was the photographer, and he was persistent. She overheard him one night saying to his buddy, he was like, "I'm gonna marry that girl." He had just met her, and now they're married and they have 2 kids together. I don't hear anything like that now. Now we're praising eye contact. Now we're praising if a guy held a door open to us and smiled. That is what we're praising. It feels so backwards. I just wonder when it shifted, because I feel like
This is a lie. She has plenty of men in her DMs. She's just complaining about the men that don't want her, which is a small portion of men that are able to, have different boundaries and standards, which is a very small percentage of men. So why is she worried about that small percent that's saying that we're not approaching, instead of worrying about the guys that are still approaching her or in her DMs? It doesn't make any sense.
like that is the whole downfall of why it's so hard to meet someone now, because men just don't care anymore.
Ask the bear. We put out the bare minimum. We can put in a 1,000% effort, and you ladies will still say it's the bare minimum. When women decided they didn't want or need us anymore, rejection after rejection after rejection. You try it and see how you feel. When we were told we're not wanted, needed, desired, and told to stop pursuing. The laws have changed, making it dangerous for a guy to make a move that can cost him to face criminal charges. The men have put in way more than enough effort, and it got them nowhere. No man should have to keep being persistent to try and get a woman. If she was really interested, she would show the same interest. Being comfortable and single is something men have had to get used to. If these women want to be in their future, they're going to have to prove it. They can be miserable on their own.
You have to remember that no one flirts better than a woman that is not really that interested in you.
And we wonder why guys are just done with dating, because apparently now flirting means that she's not interested. Oh, but guys should be able to read body language and eye contact, as if that's any easier to decode.
Men, let me let you in on a little secret. You may not realize this, but you have more power than you know. So I want you to be more choosy. This aspect right here. Let's get into it. Remember, y'all, women love to be desired. They love attention. Attention is their currency. Attention is the drug. And a lot of y'all giving everybody attention, giving it out for free. No, be choosy about it, sir. It's your currency. Remember, our time is a limited resource. We don't know how much time we have, so don't give it away. If you give an attention, make sure it's worth it. Make sure it's to someone who actually values you. A woman that you actually want to be with long term. A woman that actually meets the standard. Don't just be giving that thing away for free. Women.
Absolutely. Look, y'all, you know what I'm saying? We all know who this is, but again, facts are facts. So, like, make sure that you're not just giving your attention or pursuing or entertaining women too much, or a woman that's not showing any interest in you. She needs to be more into you than you are into her. And you need to have hobbies, goals, priorities, a purpose, in alignment with God. You should have things that you should be doing. listen, don't give your attention away to any of these women right now. Allow them to pursue you, and then you vet. Come on now.
Love attention. There's a lot of men giving it to them and therefore reinforcing things that men say they don't want. So I urge you, men, be intentional about who and what you are giving your attention to.
Why am I seeing men on this app say, I don't chase, I attract?
Good for them, but I'm sure that one has something to say about that.
You're a man.
And?
That's like your only job.
Only job? Hardly. As if it's a man's sole purpose in life to pursue women, but I digress. Let's actually focus on what was said here. Now, it actually makes perfect sense if someone actually takes a moment to think about it, why a man would say that he doesn't chase, he attracts. Because the dynamic is quite obvious. Many women were more than pleased to say that they have multiple men pursuing them at any given point in time. So, frankly, they get to choose from the pool of men that are pursuing them. Now, for a man, it takes quite a lot of energy to pursue someone romantically, so it only makes sense that he would decide to only pursue someone after they have made it abundantly clear that they are interested in him and are attracted to them. So why would a guy pursue a woman that doesn't have any interest in him? It only makes perfect sense if you actually take a moment to think about it.
Well, the thing is, they don't think. This is just another example of men's standards being attacked. It doesn't matter what standards men set for themselves. It will always be an issue to a woman in the world somewhere. Speaking of chasing or attract, some men don't even bother with neither of them. It got to the point where they have no desire to deal with any woman. They do not have time for the drama.
You know, I just had a realization that actually most men are not obsessed with women. They're obsessed with other men. They could care less what women think. Their number one focus is what other men think of them. So women, if we were wondering why men are the way they are, it's because they're not obsessed with you. They don't care what you think or how you feel. Their number one priority is other men. And if you know, you know. And yes, before you run your mouth, before you come to me, I don't know. Yeah, not all men, but most men. Most men do. So.
Are, of course, the old shaming tactic from a bitter woman. This is a woman who probably never had a man before. These women need to ask themselves, what exactly is a man supposed to be obsessed with? Their bad attitude? Their self-centered personality? The lack of them taking accountability? No. There is literally nothing for a man to be obsessed with anymore. Dating is just a game to some of these women. A man realizing his worth doesn't mean he's into other men. He's just evolved to not deal with modern women's bullshit.
Okay. Yeah, and before I go real quick, listen, those shaming tactics, it's old, it's done, and we're not even going to entertain females that are out there doing that kind of stuff and trying to get into our energy. She's trying to get reactions. So they get desperate, they do desperate things. Anyway, y'all, smash that like button. I appreciate y'all. Let me know in the comments if you agree, disagree. Let's chop it up. I'm your brother, and I love you, and I'm out.
In this game, you gotta have that dog in you.
Made in America.